Hello and welcome to Mostly Vintage Cameras. This is a Nikon F3, a legend in its own lunchtime. This came out in 1980 and was the third camera in the Nikon professional 35mm SLR range. It was a little controversial because compared to the F2 and the F that came before it, to use all the features on the F3 it did require batteries. Now, as a bit of a sop to all people that say I don't want to use a camera that's reliant on batteries, there were a couple of mechanical backup options. I'll cover that in a separate video. But in this video I just want to talk about the three options for batteries you have with this camera, including, surprisingly, running it on AA batteries. But we'll get to that. So the first thing we need to do is find the battery compartment, which is just this cover here. Take a coin or a flat screwdriver. I've actually got some sort of special tool lying around here somewhere, but this will do. Trusty Swiss Army knife. Remembering righty tighty, lefty loosey. We're unscrewing, so we're lefty looseying in this case. There's no batteries in here, so the spring terminal isn't pushing it down from inside, so it doesn't pop out quite as freely as it often does. Now, the instruction book and the battery holder, I don't know how well you can see that, shows a single battery, a DL3N, one of these batteries. And these are reasonably common. I think you'll probably find these in Poundland in the UK. It's a good idea before you put a battery into a camera to wipe the contacts on a cloth, just to make sure there's no grease and oil on them. Try and handle them as less as possible. And then we're just going to put the battery in the battery holder. The plus side, as the illustration shows, whoops, wrong illustration, goes outwards, facing outwards. And then we just pop the battery holder back in place, finding our trusty coin or similar. Just cinch that up. Doesn't have to be super mega tight, but it does have to be fully screwed in. Now on the top plate of the camera, the on-off switch is here. Whoops, quite stiff on this one. And now I'm at 2/50th of a second. I can use this top plate shutter release button and it will fire at 2/50th. I can choose a slower speed, let's go for a second. It'll fire at a second. If I go around to auto, then with a wide aperture it will pick a fast shutter speed, a small aperture a longer one. Let's go a bit longer than that. So all is well in the world when you use a DL3N battery. Let's just turn that off, take that out and look at the second option. The second option is actually a little more common. So if you can't find your DL3N, you'll almost certainly be able to find a D357. Now D357 is actually the Duracell part number. It's also known as LR44, SR44 or 10L14. And how do I know it runs on these? Well, although the battery holder shows a single battery on this side, if we look at the other side of the battery holder, it shows two batteries. Still a good idea to clean the terminals as best you can. We don't want to increase the impedance with grease and grubbiness between them. Those also pop in the battery holder negative side, positive side up. There we go. And they just go again in the base plate in the standard way. I'll skip forward. So, D357s or 10L14s installed, turn it on again, and again we use a wide aperture, short shutter speed, use a small aperture, longer shutter speed, and again we can use the manual speeds. As you would expect. So turn the camera off. Don't have to turn the camera off if you take the batteries out, it's good practice to do so. Again, I'll jump forward to when the batteries are removed. So there we go, the batteries are out of the camera, and just to prove a point, if you will, if I turn this on now and try and use this shutter speed, or the automatic mode, doesn't work. Does need batteries to use the top plate shutter button and all the functions here. So AA batteries, quite clearly AA batteries are not going to fit in this battery holder, so I'm actually not going to put the battery holder back in, just to prove I'm not cheating. And there is on the base plate a second cover that doesn't take AA batteries either, but we're going to take it off now and we'll see what we have. Got this weird connector in the base plate with a hole in it essentially, and that many people will know is where you would connect a motor drive. This is the motor drive MD4 for the F3. So remember, there's no batteries in the camera, which is now looking a bit huge. I'm just going to change the tripod slightly. The battery holder is still external to the camera, but the motor drive itself has a battery compartment just here, and that takes 8 AA batteries. And when we have the motor drive fitted, and we turn the camera on and the motor drive on, now we'll find our top plate shutter button works again. We can choose manual speeds. Get half a second, that's 2 seconds. And we can use the motor drive itself. So with the motor drive MD4 attached, the camera can be powered from the motor drive. It doesn't need its own battery inside. And with that, this pretty much wraps up this video, how to power or how to put batteries in a Nikon F3, including AA's. I hope somebody's found that interesting or of use. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it.